Hello, my name is Dellin and I am an introvert, and for the longest time, I was ashamed of that. Growing up, the big personalities that surrounded me made me feel invisible. Bigger and louder was affirmed. Meanwhile, I grew increasingly timid and socially anxious, feeling suppressed within the confines of a definition. Introvert, quiet and reserved. I spiraled often, sensing a lack of control over who I was and who I wanted to be. Not many people know that I'm not actually that quiet. My best friend even told me that once she got to know me, she wished that I would go back to how I was before and just shut up. She was joking, I think. Anyway, in the past year, I've come to realize that I have a choice, and when it comes to my identity, I can choose truth. The truth that I am an introvert, but that is only a limitation if I choose for it to be. There is a power in choice. If anything, introvertedness is a natural preference. It doesn't mean I have to be quiet. It doesn't mean I have to be reserved. It doesn't mean I have to be anything or anyone. Introvert does not mean that I don't have a voice. It explains some of my tendencies, but it doesn't define who I am. And it definitely does not control my choices, only if I let it. I can't deny that I had it good. I recognize that I was beyond blessed to be able to build new relationships in a time where most of the world was forced into isolation. I resided in Queensland, Australia, a place barely touched by COVID, so restrictions were minimal. I could still enjoy the normal things in life. I was also living in a community, constantly around really kind and loving people. It just wasn't one I felt close to. This transitional period challenged me to put myself out there during a time when that was really the last thing I wanted to do. I was grieving the goodbyes. I had just lost people who I was able to be vulnerable with. I felt so alone. And in building my community, I had to start all over again. I was tired and burnt out. But I persisted in choosing to say yes. The first one I remember saying was to beach sunrise. My friend Amanda had invited me the night before to go with a small group of friends. I wasn't entirely unfamiliar with these people, but I felt more challenged to actually let them in. For me, I'll isolate myself when I'm depressed, and my overthinking mind would always lead me to believe the lie that I'm not significant enough to burden anyone, that I can deal with it on my own, that it'll resolve itself some way, somehow. It's a damaging lie, isn't it? And I was sick of it. I didn't want to continue allowing fears to dictate my choices. And in finding freedom, the first step was realizing that I needed to be vulnerable to heal. I needed to be around people. As an introvert who was also pretty sad at the time, it was difficult for me to go out, but I said yes, and I committed to it. So even though I woke up at 3:30 a.m. only to watch a cloudy sky brighten, even though I don't and can't drink coffee, and even though I was sad, I'm glad I went. The company was comforting and the views were beautiful.
Another pose! Actually, we should do like a cuddle puddle. A what? A cuddle puddle. I don't know, we just smushed together. Here we go. Ready?
Also, I do want to shout out my friend Amanda for not only inviting me, but also for being there for me during my heartbreak and my healing. Your friendship showed me that it's okay to let people in. It's okay to be vulnerable when you're hurting. So thank you for everything. You're a wonderful friend. The second yes I said was to a weekend-long camping trip. I remember when I was invited, I actually really wanted to go. I love getting out into nature, especially places far away enough where I can watch the stars light up the night sky. And I also wanted a physical escape. Not that my environment was a bad one, I just felt unable to process events and emotions where I was. And for me, I find that a physical move can help me experience an emotional break. But as much as I wanted to go, I also wanted to stay behind. It was the weekend, so I would be able to be alone and shut off for 48 hours. But I realized that there is a fine line between wallowing disguised as rest and actual productive rest, and I owed myself a break that didn't involve me laying in bed spiraling. So I said yes. I must admit I was a bit nervous. I had to meet some new people, but I decided not to force any interactions. I might have seemed rude, but I allowed myself to not care about what people might think about me. Honestly, they probably weren't thinking about me at all. If they were, they probably thought I was bad at small talk, but hey, what's new?
Here we go. What are we cooking, Dellin?
Eggs.
On a very slopey stovetop thing. I'll do a whip, and then I'll do a whip.
Is Grace's tree coming?
Voluntarily. That looks like... Oh, did they say that's a local? Oh, that's right. Crow's Nest is just out of Toowoomba. I'm making patterns on my... If I realised I could have done better patterns than random looking patterns.
Good. You wanna sit?
No more damn excuses, I'll just run. Painting your face all over town. Don't make a fuss about it, just try it out.
Putting our tents up.
Get to know your short-term friends. Only talk to till summer ends. The best way to spend your day in it when you're only making $10 every 60 minutes. Let's clock out, you and me.
Don't bend the tent pegs. That's not what to do when you've got hard soil. Always remember to bring a hammer because it doesn't come with the tent.
Anyway, the first day we got there, while everybody was socializing, I took a nap. 4 naps, actually. What can I say? I was tired, probably from emotional exhaustion, but the rest gave me enough energy to spend the next 4 hours of that night cooking dinner. I don't know if we looked more like fools trying to start a fire. I mean, I was throwing grass into the pit, hoping that something would happen. Or maybe we looked more like fools trying to cut vegetables.
First of all, it's fine.
Looks like a pineapple.
Maybe it is. No.
I was trying to cut a carrot with a butter knife, which pained me on a deeper level. But we got it done, got to see a beautiful sunset, and eventually ate dinner at around 9 p.m. So I'd say we were pretty successful.
We are enjoying camping. We're going to have a curry chicken veggie dish tonight. I don't know when it'll be ready, but it should be tasty.
But the sun's going down right now.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Grace is just over.
Right there. Yep. Yeah, you can see a little dot.
Playing.
Her uke.
Yeah. It's silhouettes.
That looks really
Okay, let's go back to. Let's keep cutting veggies. Good morning, Grace. Oh my gosh. Ouch. It's only 8 a.m. and it's so bright and so hot already. Sun's already all the way up there somewhere. I'm sweating so much. Grace is over here setting up an activity room. Oh my gosh, thank you. Grace, what are we doing right now?
Packing up my tent. Cleaning.
Coming on this trip was me escaping from circumstances I couldn't control, but I learned that it's okay. It's okay to run away when you're scared, frustrated, or angry, or all of the above. It's okay to set those feelings aside for a bit. My weekend getaway was a much needed remedy for the heartache I felt towards people who had left, as well as for my home back in the States. It helped me take healthy steps towards coping so that I can call what I do living rather than surviving. Before, when I would feel overwhelmingly depressed, I would shut down. I would forcibly numb myself because it just hurt less that way, but it's not sustainable. It promises false freedom and creates baggage. Numbness invites stagnancy. It's impossible to move forward unless I allow myself to feel what I feel, even if it sucks. The pain will pass, not with time, but with intention. The healing process requires an active and willing participant. This camping trip was a short but a really sweet one, and again, I'm glad I went. During a time where it was easy for me to dwell in sadness, I pushed myself not to. My yes gave me opportunity to experience true rest, where I wasn't constantly mulling over my hurt. It also gave me new perspective, that it's okay to be depressed, but it's also okay to move on. And in the ongoing battle against myself to not deprive myself of people, I said yes to a large group hangout. This event was held in celebration of a lovely Swiss couple before they headed home.
Welcome to my channel, like, subscribe.
At this point, I was really seeking out relationships and I felt ready to invest in people again. So when I was invited to this hangout, despite me not being close to most of the people attending, I wanted to go. I remember still being pretty depressed during this time, actually. You'd think that I'd be too exhausted to do anything, and I was, but I also wanted to live my life. So I went to the hangout.
You get so alone, sometimes it starts to make sense. On this side of paradise, we're never concerned when the grass always greener on the other side of the screen. Misery set her sights on the likes of you and me. When arrows of love you pulled from my chest, when white mask of tragedy ties ribbons round our necks, and then shadows are cast over beds that we've made, and you start to forget why you came to this place. Then you go break their hearts. They don't know who you are as you lie in the dark. Do you know what you want?
I honestly felt pretty awkward sometimes. I don't think I had many conversations, and I definitely felt the introvert in me wanting to go home. But I went, and I ate good Asian food, bought a delicious churro, and I had a good time. I was proud that I was able to function in a large group that I wasn't entirely familiar with. I was proud that I didn't allow my social awkwardness become an anxiety rush that would have ruined my night. Rather than letting my depression or social anxiety dictate my actions, I chose to live a little, and I'm proud. Although I didn't cultivate a deeper relationship with every individual I hung out with, the time was so worth it. It showed me that I'm stronger than my hurt. I'm stronger than heartbreak. Yeah, it's okay to be alone in reflection, but I realized that my self-isolation was like stepping into a quicksand of overwhelming emotions. It consumes a person. What I really needed during this time was the discomfort. I needed to accept my timeline of events and move forward. It wasn't comfortable for me to experience heartbreak or fear of more heartbreak. It was hard experiencing emotional exhaustion and mental fatigue, and I definitely had breakdowns and days when I really didn't believe I could move on. Healing takes time, and that's okay, but it was also equally important for me to realize that I am more than what breaks me. In the discomfort, there is so much opportunity for growth, and what I choose to do in discomfort can either continue my spiral or empower me to move forward. I also learned that I am stronger than stereotypes, or my self-created image of how I believed people perceived me, quiet and reserved. I learned that I can set my own standards of who I want to be. Yeah, I'm an introvert, but I'm my own introvert. I'm not bound to what I believe other people's perceptions of me are. I'm not bound to internet definitions or personality test results either. During this transitional period, the moments when I was challenged to say yes were hard, but saying yes taught me that I can push through hardship. I can push past my fears. Fears and lies don't hold any power over me. I can choose my own freedom. I've said this already, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. There is so much power in choice. For me, in my depression, I chose strength in truth. So in moments when I feel weak or broken, I'm still enough and deserving of love and relationship. I can still live my life, and that's a truth I can live out.
Go easy on yourself.